everyone, and welcome on this course on international political economy. My name is Anni Kangas. I'm from Tampere University, from the Faculty of Management and Business and its unit of politics. What is international political economy? One way to begin the discussion is to make a distinction between the term international political economy in small case letters and then international political economy with capital letters, often shortened just to IPE. The former refers to what we study, to certain themes or topics within a subject area that involves tensions among states, markets, and societal actors. The latter term, meaning IPE with capital letters, refers to the multidisciplinary academic approach, or as some people refer to it, a method of inquiry. That approach gives us some theoretical, methodological, and conceptual tools. These tools are there to help us study, to pose questions about, and to do research on themes and topics in international political economy. So often IPE is not thought of as a discipline in the same way as, for example, economics, political science, or sociology. However, that doesn't mean that IPE wouldn't be institutionalized within today's academia. It is institutionalized, for example, through specific IPE journals that carry the term international political economy or global political economy in their titles. Or it might be institutionalized through specific study programs or academic positions or titles associated with IPE or international political economy. Well, how can we characterize this field or the method of inquiry called international political economy? Well, in some, it can be characterized as a field where economic, political, and societal dynamics interact. So IPE would be a field that studies the interaction of economy and politics. That's kind of a typical characterization. So here one could be arguing that IPE is interested in the influence of the economy on politics. Economy here referring to themes such as trade, production, and markets. But it is equally interested in the influence of politics, policy, and of course questions of power on issues that relate to economy. So the assumption here is that if we want to understand specific phenomena in the world or try to solve some societal problems, we miss a lot if we only focus on economic forces or only pay attention to political forces. And that is a good point in many ways. But besides economy and politics, IPE as a field of study also encompasses societal forces. And that's one of the messages that we want to emphasize on this course. So international political economy can be thought of as an interplay of economic, political, and also societal forces. And this image is a triangle that consists of three axes that cross each other at the corners. And the axes are the axis of economy, the axis of politics, and the axis of society. So the figure here on this slide illustrates this idea of international political economy as a very broad field, actually. And given the fact that it's a broad field, there's a lot going on in there. Some coordinates to help navigation on this field are provided by these axes. The axis of politics, the axis of economy, and then the axis of society. And of course, we know well enough that none of these concepts economy, politics, or society is unproblematic or self-explanatory as such. Politics can be understood in a variety of ways. Some understand politics in terms of taking care of joint affairs, whereas for some others, it is a field of antagonisms and conflicts and struggles for power. However, it's possible to say that the political dimension of IPE focuses our attention on certain questions. Questions such as power and power imbalances. Who are the powerful and less powerful actors in international political economy? How do different actors use power? Or how about the distribution of resources? Where are decisions made about the use and distribution of tangible as well as intangible things? And tangible things here may refer to issues such as money or other resources, for example, natural resources. And intangible issues might be, for example, security or health, just to take up a few examples. The political dimension of IPE highlights the fact that some people or some groups are better positioned than others. For example, why do some get to have more than others, more money, more access to natural resources, and so on and so forth. The political dimension of IPE also touches upon the rules of the game. So how are joint rules and regulations regarding economic transactions made? Or how are rules violated? Who are the actors that make the rules or violate the rules? Are there common goals behind economic policies, for example? How can such goals be reached? And so on. If we move to the economic dimension of IPE, one can pose questions such as, what kinds of economic systems are there? For example, what is capitalism? How has capitalism developed historically? And what kinds of alternatives are there to capitalism? Secondly, what kinds of mechanisms and institutions are there for the distribution of scarce resources? Or are resources scarce to begin with? Or is it more of an ideological position to assume so? The economic dimension also relates to the question of the market, the role of the market in international political economy. Is it just a place of exchange? Is it a driving force that shapes human behavior? Is it an effective solution to most social problems? Or along the economic dimension of IPE, you find questions that relate, for example, to the relationship between production and reproduction, or social and societal reproduction. The term IPE does not explicitly include the term society in it. However, as I mentioned already, the axis of society is equally important if you think about the coordinates of international political economy. It reminds us of the fact that in any society, there are many different groups. These groups may share, for example, identities, norms, or belief systems. And such norms may also, of course, manifest themselves through conflicts. The societal axis also alerts us to intersectional themes, such as the role of gender, age, racialization, or abilities and disabilities in international political economy. So this is, if you think about these three axes, this is how we can try to delineate or provide some coordinates for the broad and multidisciplinary field of international political economy, thought about as an interaction of economy, politics, as well as society and societal forces. And an equally important question is the scale question in international political economy. And that brings us to the term international in international political economy. In IPE textbooks, books or articles, one can often find arguments that suggests that what's at the core of IPE are themes, big themes, such as world trade, international flows of finance, or crises in the global financial system. And thought of in this way, the key actors of IPE are, for example, multinational corporations or problems such as global poverty. And here IPE may be said to be a field that analyzes, for example, how production is globally organized into global supply chains, or how nations or regions turn or develop into cores and peripheries of global economy. And of course, at this moment, international political economies of the climate crisis are gaining attention. So if you think about these themes, you notice that they are characteristically macro issues, macro scale issues. Or if you like to think in terms of levels of analysis, these are issues that one can locate at the global or international level of analysis. In a way, the term international in international political economy suggests that IPE looks at issues that cross the borders of political units. There are two or more states or nations that interact. However, some scholars prefer to use the term global political economy to refer to the study of issues such as poverty, trade, or climate crisis. Dynamics that have spread over the entire world, the reasons and consequences of which cannot be really located in just a few states or nations. And then there are also others who prefer to talk about transnational political economy. And with the use of that term, they want to bring attention to the fact that many themes of interest in IPE are not really international in the sense of being interactions of two or more states or nations, while at the same time noticing that they involve dynamics that take place across national borders. For example, there's a lot of interesting research on the role of so-called transnational households and the important role that they play in global capitalism at the moment. At this course, we may be using the terms global, international, and transnational political economy somewhat interchangeably. And don't let that disturb you. By using these terms, maybe as synonyms to each other, we would like to invite you also to reflect on what difference it makes to address certain issues as global, international, or transnational. The terms global or international may bring with them imaginaries of something being big or something being small. I think I used the term big myself when I talked about global production and financial fluctuations, for example, suggesting here that themes that belong to international political economy are somehow big by contrast to some smaller issues going on there. However, it's entirely possible and also fruitful in many ways to think about and analyze the international political economy or global economy from the bottom up. The study of everyday international political economy reminds us that everyday life is political economic and that our everyday experiences are also in many ways marked by the global. This means that our everyday actions or the choices that we make in our everyday have important consequences for the transformation of not just the local environments or the national settings, but also have regional and global impact. And also the things that we are able to do, our everyday actions are enabled and constrained by international and global contexts. Here you may, for example, think about the kinds of opportunities that you have had as a result of where you were born. Or you may think about your daily routines, about how much money you have available and where does that money come from. So everyday international political economy invites us to pay attention to questions such as who made the clothes that we wear, where were they produced, where do the profits from the purchases of these clothes go? Or we may pose similar questions in the context of the food that we eat. Were the farmers paid a fair wage? If not, is there anything that can be done about it? Or for example, if you order food through a courier service, how, as a result of what kinds of political economic dynamics have the couriers ended up working for a specific courier service? Who benefits from their work, and how do they handle, where do they, for example, send their salaries to their families, their transnational households? These issues are a fundamental part of the global economy. So here, everyday IPE also reminds us of the fact that these so-called big issues, like patterns of global trade or production, or big global issues such as economic inequalities, they play a big role in what kind of life each of us is able to live. And often by analyzing objects that are close to us, or maybe something that we use every day, such as, let's say, a t-shirt, we can develop insights also on big issues. And through such an approach, we can also identify other global or big issues that we did not see before. If you think about that t-shirt still, one may think about the travels of a t-shirt, from where cotton for that item of clothing was grown and harvested, to how it's branded and sold to customers in the global north. By thinking about the travels of the t-shirt, for example, we are alerted to questions such as market competition, state regulation, but we may also begin to see such global issues as inequalities that relate to racialization or gender or colonial legacies.